Welcome back to Revelations with Sequita, where faith, healing, and real talk meet. Now, today we're going to talk about obedience. Now, if you haven't watched my previous video where I talk about what is revelation, how does it impact and show up in your life, it's going to be important that you do so because I talked about the importance of obedience once you receive the revelations. So today I'm going to talk to you about obedience because once you receive the revelation from God, obedience will unlock that revelation for you. So I'm going to share with you because I've written about this. So I'm going to share with you what I've written about obedience so that you can understand. I've come to understand that obedience isn't just about rules. It's about relationship, and it's about relationship and trust with God. And to obey God is to trust him. And to trust him is to believe that his way, not yours or mine, is the way, but his way is the way, true way to purpose, peace, and fulfillment. But I didn't always know that. For much of my life, I lived outside of his obedience. And I lived on the opposite of obedience. So I lived in what you would call rebellion. I know a lot of these words may be like, wow, that's a little harsh. No, it's the truth. Not the loud, defiant kind of rebellion. No, mine was quiet, rationalized disobedience. You know, just a shrug of the spirit's prompting here, a dismiss warning there. You know, just did what I wanted to do or what I thought was the right thing to do. So disobedience can be subtle. It can show up in your desire to chase after money, to chase after position and status, to chase after that man or to chase after that woman, or to chase after wanting to be married or wanting this or wanting that. You know, the American dream or whatever you call, whatever your desire may be, that many times we have not consulted God on, is this what you want for us? Because we know a lot about what we want for us, for ourselves, but we don't always consult God in what does he desire for us. Because I'm going to tell you something, it's always better than what you desire for yourself. It's always better. So let me go back to what I wrote. So disobedience was subtle at first. It showed up in my desire to chase after what looked good on the outside, but wasn't ordained for me on the inside. I would look at other people's lives, their careers, their relationships, their homes, their cars, even their confidence. And I wanted that. I didn't want to steal it. I just wanted to emulate it. I wanted to skip the process and wear the promise without the preparation. I wanted to wear the promise without the full understanding and wisdom that would be needed to have that. I saw how together other people were and assumed they had the map. So I followed their path, but I never asked God if it was my way. I never paused to say, Lord, is this what you have for me? And that's why now I don't move unless I consult God. And I'm going to tell you, there are times when, put it like this, I consult him 95% of the time because sometimes the other 5% I'm not even thinking. I'm just going off of impulse of what I know. And many times I get on the shoulder like, nope, you see how that didn't work out? Because you didn't consult me. You have to consult God about everything. Because if you don't, you would know when you don't. Especially when you get to a point where a majority of what you do consult him. A majority of what you are trying to do, you that actually consult him. And when you don't, you gonna feel it. You know? So I jumped into jobs that I wasn't called to do. I moved to cities that never felt like home, and I poured into relationships that drained me. I'm going to say that again for the people that's sitting in the back. I poured into relationships that drained me. What that looks like in your life right now, you pouring into people that, one, they probably didn't even ask for your advice, because I was one of those that would give unsolicited advice, and I still do. I'm learning. I'm less and less. If I did it 100 times, I probably do it about 15 now. Or the people that ask for the advice, but they don't follow it, that will drain you. So I said yes to things that God never asked of me, and no to the very things he was trying to grow me in. Because remember, I was emulating and seeing what other people were doing. So the things that he were calling me into and tried to grow me in, they did not seem right at the time. They did not seem right because what? I was disobedient. So I was outside the will of God. But the Holy Spirit would nudge me. Sometimes it'll be with a whisper. Sometimes it will be with a warning. Don't go there. That's not for you. Wait, be still. I shut this door. You still trying to open it. You done went and got a crowbar and you unpried the door open. When you should not have been going through those. That was me. Not y'all. I'm just me. But I brushed it off like lint on my jacket and told myself I was overthinking it. Maybe I just needed to work harder, be more positive, and change my perspective. I didn't recognize that it wasn't just a gut feeling. It was God giving me revelation. And I paid the price for that disobedience. It wasn't immediately, but my consequences were delayed. It was like seeds planted that took root underground, but it took a while for them to eventually sprout. And yeah. So the missed opportunities, the relationships that ended in betrayal, the financial setbacks, the emotional weight of carrying things that were never mine to hold or carry, all of them were consequences of walking outside of God's will while pretending it was just a part of my journey. Lies. But one of the hardest truths I had to face was that disobedience doesn't always look sinful. Sometimes it looks smart. It looks like you're ambitious. You're a go-getter. It looks like you're stepping out on faith. When in reality, I was stepping out on ego and pride. So, I failed to let y'all know back then, prideful with a capital Pride. Yes, I did say aura. Pride was the big, I didn't think anything was wrong with pride, but I was also ignorant. I had not read my Bible in the way that I should have. So I was chasing success and affirmation and position, money and status with my head held high. But I wasn't chasing God. I wasn't moving. I was moving fast and going nowhere. Let me put that. I was moving fast and going nowhere. But I was moving, but I wasn't moving in alignment. And then came the revelations. They were slow at first, like fog lifting in the morning. I started to notice the patterns, the frustrations in the different jobs, the same type of people showing up in different relationships and different jobs. You ever had a Johnny on your old job that you knew Johnny was just mean, nasty, just backbiting everything, but you go to your new job and it's Susan. So Johnny went from wearing pants to wearing a dress, and the name is now Susan. Same people, different jobs, same types of men, same types of women, different man, different woman, different relationship. Pay attention to that. Y'all, pay attention to that. But I was weary, and no matter how much I achieved, I was still tired. I was busy. God was speaking to me, but I was avoiding it. I had to leave my current situation, take a break from everything, from work, from everything before I was truly able to hear. And that was 2015. That was when I left work was just so much, and I just took time off to take care of myself, to take care of my husband, take care of my children. And that's when the revelations started. Because while everyone was at work and school, I was with myself. And at that time, we did not have a living room. We did not have a TV in our living room. And it had so much beautiful bright light. So I had no choice but to be downstairs. If I wanted to watch TV, I was gonna have to go down in the sitting room we had on the ground floor, or I was gonna have to go all the way upstairs. And I was too active at the time, so I wasn't gonna lay in the bed all day. I was speaking and I was teaching in the area at church, and speaking at churches in the area. So I was out there doing things. So I, with no television, I could hear everything because there was no distraction whatsoever. So I had no choice but to begin to be obedient, because my life hadn't been going the way that I had desired. So now I knew it was God. I knew because I was opening my Bible, I was reading. So the revelations were in alignment with the scriptures, if that makes sense. So it was one revelation at a time, being obedient, seeing fruit and not negative consequences, seeing fruit and positive consequences of following. And it was a little bit more. I can't say it was every time, but it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more. It was a little bit more. And my obedience was a yes to listening to God. It was a yes. And obedience, I thought, used to think was like, man, it's about rules. I ain't gonna be able to do this. I ain't gonna be able to do that. But what I realized, that obedience isn't a prison. Obedience is protection. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. Obedience is freedom. It may not feel like that way in the beginning, but obedience is freedom. Because it's your path to God continuing to reveal to you who you are and what you should do. And he will then order your steps. He will then put you before great men. He will then allow your gifts to make room for you. So every time I obeyed in the small ways, God showed me something new. He showed me something about myself, about his nature, about the people around me, about my assignment about the assignment that he had placed on my life. So obedience became the key that unlocked clarity for me. So when I said yes to staying, when I wanted to leave, he revealed the purpose for the reason. He revealed the purpose for the season. When I said no to opportunities that glittered but didn't align, he opened doors that I didn't even know existed. When I started honoring the still small voice, I found strength and confidence that I didn't even know I had. Obedience didn't just change my circumstances and situation in life. It changed me. It transformed me. I stopped needing people's approval because God had changed my direction. I had to break away from the generational cycles, patterns, thoughts, and beliefs of family. We're going to put a pin in that right now. But that is key. I stopped comparing my journey to other people's. I stopped comparing myself to others, realizing that I was unique and formed, and everything that I had went through was not wasted, and that it was for a very specific purpose. And obedience is obedience is walking away from everything familiar. It's going to feel like you're losing. It's going to be lonely. But it is never without fruit. The blessings that follow obedience are quiet. They can be peace. It could be a spiritual sensitivity. It could be discernment. It could be knowing that you're in alignment. It could be joy. But it's always a deeper and a more deeper understanding and a more sustaining understanding than anything that you could have done on your own. So that's the importance of obedience. And I spoke freely, and I also spoke of, what I had journaled about the obedience. And it wasn't during the time. This was what I've been able to journal over the course of realizing, following these revelations for years. So I just want to thank you all. I want you to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with someone you feel that needs to know this, understand that the importance of obedience and those small voices and promptings that you hear, that they are revelations, and it's so important to be obedient to them. So thank you very much. Bye.